welcome to my first Travel Tuesday video, and today I will be talking about keeping in touch with your friends and family back at home when you're traveling. I feel like I'm a little bit of a professional on this topic. When I studied abroad, I started to master it a little bit, and then once I moved to Florence, I had to master it as I was away for a year but still really wanted to keep in touch with everyone, and plus I had to make sure that my parents knew that I was okay and alive every day. So whether you're moving abroad, you're studying abroad just for a few weeks or a few months, or if you're just going to be traveling maybe around Europe or around Asia, you can definitely use these tips to keep in touch with everyone back at home. So everybody has smartphones these days, and if you're going traveling, I'm sure you'll probably bring your smartphone along with you so that you can take pictures and use the Wi-Fi. But I highly recommend, if you're going to be in the same place for at least like a week or two, to pick up a local SIM card while you're there. If you have a smartphone that you can unlock or that you can switch different SIM cards out of, which a lot of the phones in the US you can't, but if you got it in England, or I think if you're on AT&T back in the States, you can actually take your SIM card out of your phone and put another one in. So what you can do is, let's say you're in Italy, you can actually just go into a shop and pick up a pay-as-you-go SIM card, which will give you phone time, texts, and data. So you can stick that into your phone and you can use that if you need to use Google Maps, or if you're out and about and you want to upload Instagrams, or you need to text your parents back at home, then you can do that without having to worry about using precious roaming data, which costs an arm and a leg. My second tip is to utilize the plenty of apps that smartphones have available these days. My number one app that I used when I was living in Italy, and I still use it all the time living here, is WhatsApp. WhatsApp, which is a texting app. So it's kind of like iMessage, but when I was living in Italy, I had a BlackBerry and I didn't have an iPhone. So I downloaded WhatsApp onto my BlackBerry, and then my dad had it on his iPhone back at home, so we could text back and forth through that, and it didn't cost us anything. It just used both of our data, or if we were on Wi-Fi, used Wi-Fi. You can also send videos through it, you can send pictures, you can send voice recordings if you need to. So it was a really quick, cheap, and easy way for me to keep in touch with my parents and some of my friends back at home as well. Some other apps that I use all the time when I'm traveling and being abroad is FaceTime and Skype. Skype I probably use more than FaceTime, just because I think people use Skype more often, and you can use Skype whether you are on your computer, or if any of your friends don't have an iPhone, then obviously they don't have FaceTime. So Skype is just a great way to make free video calls to whoever you want in the world. You can also just do voice calls from phone to phone. It's also really good, and a lot of people don't know this, but if you need to call a landline anywhere in the world, you can actually buy credit on Skype and call the landline from Skype using the internet. So, for example, my mom doesn't have an iPhone, so when I was living in Italy, and still now, if I need to contact her, or if I need to call her if it's urgent, then what I'll do is I'll use that credit, and it's a lot cheaper than actually just calling on the phone internationally, because it goes through the internet. So the quality is decent. It's not amazing, but usually it can get the job done. You can also use that for if you need to call your bank, if your card got stolen, or any other emergencies like that. I always use it for that. Another great way for you to keep in touch with your friends and family back at home when you're abroad is to write a blog. That is the reason that I started Love in London, is I wanted to keep in touch with everybody back at home. And I did the same thing when I had lived in Florence. I started a blog, and it's really helpful because instead of having to re-explain every story over and over again every time you talk to somebody from home, if they've seen your blog already, they know what happened, they've seen all your pictures, and it saves a ton of time, especially when you're calling on Skype credit and get a little bit expensive. And it's also great because it helps people back at home kind of visualize what you're doing and where you're living. I know for my parents, I had blogged when I first got there, got to Florence, a bunch of pictures of our apartment, so they could see where we were living, they could see it was very safe, and could kind of understand what was going on, and it doesn't really seem as scary to them. Now, if you're not much of a writer, or you don't really feel like putting the time into starting a blog, or maybe you're just going abroad for a couple of weeks, I highly recommend using Facebook and Instagram to your advantage to keep in touch with everybody back at home. This is, I think, especially a really great way to kind of update everyone on your whereabouts and that you're okay and you're having fun if you're just going on a shorter trip. But you can post all of your pictures to Facebook and everyone can see where you've been and what you've been doing, or you can keep posting to Instagram, same kind of thing. Everyone sees what you're up to and that you're having fun. It's a little bit of a quicker blogging process, I guess. And while you're abroad, if you want to keep in touch with everyone, why not go a little old school and send some postcards? This is especially fun if you're studying abroad or you're traveling around to different countries. Some people like to send a postcard from every country that they're in. Even just a little bit of snail mail can be fun for anyone back at home to get. Really kind of retro and a little bit different. And it's also really, it's fun to collect postcards for some people, so if you know someone who really likes postcards, make sure you pick out a few different ones and then go and get a stamp and send it off and see how long it takes. It's cool, and it's not really what people do anymore, so I think that's why your friends and family would really appreciate getting a postcard. Plus, if your grandparents or your aunts and uncles aren't really very good with technology, then this is the best way to go. So those are my tips for keeping in touch with your family and friends when you are going abroad. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will be posting Travel Tuesday videos whenever I can, as well as some other videos about my life and living in London, so check it out.